sexually explicit conduct of Janae Newell, an adult, for the purpose of harassment, and such videos serve no legitimate purpose to the person depicted. Count 4. Same type of count. The grand jurors aforesaid in the name of and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Georgia charge and accuse Eligio Bishop with the offense of prohibition on nude or sexually explicit electronic transmissions in violation of OCGA 16-11-90B for the said accused person in the county of DeKalb and state of Georgia on or about the 27th day of March 2022 without the consent of Janae Newell, the depicted person, did unlawfully cause the electronic posting of a certain video with a length of 28 seconds with the knowledge that it depicted sexually explicit conduct of Janae Newell, an adult, for the purpose of harassment, and such video served no legitimate purpose to the person depicted, this offense constituting a second or subsequent violation of this law. I assume that's second or subsequent to count 3. Mr. Coveney, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Count 4. What? Hold on. That was count 4, correct?
It was.
That was. Okay. Count 5. Let's try this again. Count 5. The grand jurors aforesaid in the name of and on behalf of the citizens of the state of Georgia charge and accuse Eligio Bishop with the offense of prohibition on nude or sexually explicit electronic transmissions in violation of OCGA 16-11-90B for the said accused person in the county of DeKalb and state of Georgia on or about the 27th day of March 2022 without the consent of Janae Newell, the depicted person, did unlawfully cause the electronic posting of a certain video with a length of 1 minute and 8 seconds with the knowledge that it depicted sexually explicit conduct of Janae Newell, an adult, for the purpose of harassment, and such videos served no legitimate purpose to the person depicted, this offense constituting a second or subsequent violation of this law. Contrary to the laws of said state, the good order, peace, and dignity thereof, signed Cherry Boston, DeKalb County Superior Court District Attorney. And Mr. Coveney, again, in count 5, the offense constituting a second or subsequent, that is subsequent or second to counts 3 and 4?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Now, we're going to begin the voir dire process where each side, I'm going to ask you some questions and then each side gets to ask you some questions to assure each party gets a fair and impartial jury to hear this case. If answering a particular question in front of all of these people will cause you any embarrassment or discomfort, please let me know. And if appropriate, we will give you an opportunity to talk to us outside the presence of the rest of the jurors and in front of only those who are legally required to be present. For example, if you're asked if you have any medical or physical conditions that might affect your ability to serve and you don't want anybody to know what the condition is, let me know and we will make arrangements to question you individually to get that information. All right, I am now going to give you the pre-voir dire oath. I need for all of you to please stand and raise your right hands. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that you shall give true answers to all questions as may be asked by the court or its authority, including all questions asked by the parties or their attorneys concerning your qualifications as jurors in the case of the state of Georgia versus Eligio Bishop? So help you God. Please say yes if you so agree.
Yes.
All right, thank you. You can be seated. All right, I'm going to begin by asking you some preliminary questions. Again, please raise your cards if you have a response. If you're not sure if you have a response, go ahead and raise your card anyway, and we will follow up with you. After I have called out your number, you can put your card down. And then after I'm done, the lawyers will have their opportunity, and then we'll go individually and do the follow-up questioning. All right, first, are any of you related by blood or marriage, third cousins or closer, to the district attorney, Sherry Boston, or to any of the assistant district attorneys in this case? That would be Michael Coveney or Tari Thomas. I see no response. Are any of you related?
What's up,
or blood
y'all?
Marriage, third cousins, or closer to the defendant,
We live.
Eligio Bishop? If so, please raise your card. No response. Have you, for any reason, formed and expressed any opinion in regard to the guilt or innocence of the accused? If so, please raise your card. 32 and 40. Thank you. Do any of you have any prejudice or bias resting on your mind, either for or against the accused? If so, please raise your card. 32 and 40. Thank you. Is your mind perfectly impartial between the state and the accused? If it is not, please raise your
Yeah,
card.
this is the opening of the
32,
Nature
40,
Boy
and 22.
trial. He's been
Is there anybody
charged
here who
with
served on the grand jury
sexual
that indicted
assault
this case?
and several other crimes related.
No response. Is there anyone on the panel who is not a current resident of DeKalb County?
He's a cult leader.
No response. Is there anyone here who has any medical or physical condition that they believe would prevent them from being able to serve? And it doesn't mean you have a bad back or you have a headache. I mean, serious issues. Okay. 44. Stand up for me and please tell me what your issue is.
I have narcolepsy.
You have narcolepsy?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Do you work full time?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're able to work? Okay.
I have a desk job that with flexible hours.
Okay.
So I can sleep at the desk.
Okay. Thank you. 45. Stand up.
I have type 1 diabetes and I'm on a new insulin system from just a few days ago and it's not going very well.
Oh, okay. All right. If at any time you need to take a break to eat something or to give yourself some insulin, please let me know. We will make sure that you are accommodated. Given accommodations like that, would that assist you?
Probably.
Okay. Okay, thank you. 42.
I am a nursing mother, so I have a pump that I
Okay.
use.
We can accommodate that. What time do you need to take a break?
Every 4 hours.
Okay. Very good. All right, hold on. One, same issue? Same, all right, I'm more than happy to accommodate you guys for that, not a problem. 36. If you could stand up and pull off your mask so I can hear you.
I have a condition with my eyes right now and I can't see everyone clearly.
Okay. What do you need, what do you do for reading documents and watching TV?
I expand if it's something on my phone.
Pull your mask down, please. Thank you.
If it's something on my phone, I have to expand it very large.
Okay, are you able to watch television?
Things that are really bright can be affected by my eyes.
Okay, all right, thank you. And I mentioned that this case is likely to take the rest of this week and all of next week, not Saturday and Sunday. However, and again, I understand that people have things going on in their lives, and I'm going to ask you a question with respect to how much of a hardship this would be, but I'm going to tell you right now, if your employer doesn't pay you while you're not working, I'm terribly sorry, but that is not a legal excuse for me to excuse you from jury service. If you have a conference call for work tomorrow morning or Tuesday, or you have a meeting or something like that, those are not legal excuses. So if you have surgery planned, or you're undergoing chemotherapy or something along those lines, that's a different story, okay? So I need to know if any of you feel that you have an issue that would create that much of a hardship that would prevent you from serving as a juror in this case. Okay, nothing in 1 through 14. All right, 16. Stand up and tell me what your hardship is.
I got some people for court tomorrow.
Where?
Madison.
Where?
Madison, Georgia.
Madison, Georgia? Okay, well, we can work with that. What is it for?
From the chase.
Are you charged with it, or are you a witness? You're a witness?
I was the one chasing.
You were doing the chasing? Okay, all right, have a seat. They need to do it. Okay, that's fine. All right, we're gonna hand, who is the next person? Put your cards back up, if I didn't call you yet. We're gonna hand you the microphone. Oh, because they're not gonna be able to hear, right, gotcha, okay. So stand up if you have the microphone. 38, okay, yes.
Hey, I'm a single parent. So
How old is your child?
he is 7 and he attends a private school in Decatur. It
Okay,
doesn't have like a bus and we don't have another parent at home.
okay, so what would happen, and I'm not trying to be smug or disrespectful, what would happen if, God forbid, you ended up in the hospital and had to have your appendix taken out?
His father would have to come back into the country and get him.
Okay. All right, the cutoff for a legal excuse is under 6, I believe. What grade is the child in?
His school does like a mixed age classroom.
Okay.
So there's no grades.
What are the hours?
7:50 is the earliest I can drop him off, and then I have to pick him up by 3, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, and on Thursdays at 1.
Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, next, 22.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I have a work trip planned for next week that leads into a week-long vacation. So I am expected to be gone from February 28th to March 6th.
Okay, how long is the work piece of the trip?
That is on February 28th, and then February 29th,
Hold on, let me try to fix this volume. Hold the microphone a little bit further away from you.
okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay. So, you said you're going on the 26th?
28th.
Okay. And the work part, when does the vacation part start?
Later in the day on the 29th.
Okay. Where are you going?
The work
Yeah, the
part is
opening
in
statements are
Los
expected
Angeles, and
today,
then
y'all.
The vacation part is in Tahiti.
Yeah, the opening statements are expected today, but we're gonna see. But I'm gonna cover this for the next few days, all of next week also, the entire trial. So stay up, y'all.
No? There are 34? Okay. Pass it down to 34, please, and then we'll go to 32. Did you change your mind, 11? All right, 34.
I have a work trip next week from Monday through Friday.
Okay,
It's unavoidable. And if there's a question that either I ask or council asks and you're not comfortable answering it in front of everybody, like the judge said, just let us know. Can we take that up in private? Can we answer that in private? And we will accommodate that. The judge asked if anybody knew Eligio Bishop. Does anyone think they might know him or know his family members? If so, please raise your hand. I see no response. Is anyone familiar with or think you might be familiar with the defendant through his presence on social media? That could be Nature Boy TV, Carbon Nation TV, or any other way. I see no response. No, you all said that nobody is related to Mr. Booker. Has anyone themselves, a family member, close friend, ever been represented by attorney Robert Booker? See no response. Is there anyone who is themselves a family member or close friend with any criminal defense attorney? See, close friend, okay. It's number 7. Anyone else? Number 32. Okay.
and 14?
And 14. All right. And 18, did you have your hand? Oh, okay. 20.
2 seconds, y'all. Let me flip out of this one. Let's see where we at. Come on now. Fuck. Here we go, live.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear from the testimony you give the court will be the truth and whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Can you state your full name, please?
Danielle Holland, Dannnielle. Holland is in the country.
Okay. I understand you want to record the proceedings via an iPhone, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you work for a media outlet?
No, I'm an independent citizen journalist.
Okay. Is there a reason why you can't get the footage from Fox 5?
Hey, Andrea. Hey,
They
Ralph.
indicated that,
Yeah, it looks like it's going to get hot.
Or a computer,
Okay.
but I don't have that access.
Okay, well, the reason
Yeah, and this is going to be going on all of next week, y'all.
we do this, do the pooled footage is so that we don't have multiple cameras going on in the courtroom and holding up an iPhone. I think can be distracting. There are rules that have to be followed, such as jurors not filmed. I can control it somewhat with Fox 5. They know the rules, they know what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. So that's why they are designated as the official Rule 22 videographer. So if you can get it, you just have to figure out a way to make it work. Get whatever you need to get in order to get that you'll have access to the coverage. So you're not being denied access, but I want one camera.
Yes.
And there's one video camera and one regular camera. But we don't want that to, additional cameras can be a big distraction.
Understood.
So for that reason, I'm denying this Rule 22, but suggest that you make arrangements to get whatever you need to get so you can access them. You'll still be able to access the footage.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
You're very welcome. Okay.
Let me see here. Let me get it to the. Okay, what happened? It's a little pause here. I see. Oh, they're having a sidebar. Okay. Oh, let's see what the sidebar bring. They had jury selection. I'm not sure if that was finished yet. Let me go back to this. Oh, they're having a long sidebar.
Your Honor, after argument from the parties, there are several special conditions that are attached to the sentence. Those include no contact with the victim, as well as the defendant may not profit off of this case or the facts giving rise to the case, and the defendant would be banished from the state of Georgia except for Clayton County.
Okay, y'all hear that? They had a request, no contact, and that Nature Boy is not allowed to profit off of this case. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see.
Yes, but primarily because you could utilize the airport without being in violation of the terms of the sentence.
All right. Mr. Booker,
Yes, sir.
have you discussed the terms of this offer with your client?
I think he has further questions, Judge.
Okay.
Essentially, the terms of the state that I talked about this morning, my client was concerned about having to register as a sex offender The way that the state has crafted the plea, he would not be required to register as a sex offender.
Oh, so they discussing the plea here. Y'all hear that? This is a plea they discussing, and he's afraid of being or concerned about being labeled a sex offender in the plea. Damn.
And so that was.
Terms of this offer with the client.
I think he has further questions, Judge.
Okay.
Essentially, the terms that the state and I talked about this morning, my client was concerned about having to register as a sex offender. The way that the state has crafted the plea, he would not be required to register as a sex offender. And so that was a large portion of what he's seeking. Again, there would be parolable offenses versus what we're facing now, which would be a mandatory minimum life or split sentence on rape. So, assuming the jury comes. Do you need further time to discuss what the state has proposed? Okay.
All right, I'll give you a few more minutes to talk, but then if we need to move forward, if we're not going to do it, so.
And if the state is just for my client's education, if you just state on the record if he doesn't accept the plea when it's deemed as withdrawn, so you'll know.
The OB deemed as withdrawn at the time that Ms. Newell, which is the first state's witness, takes the stand and is sworn.
All right, so the next few minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
Yo, this sounds a lot like what happened in Polite's case. So now they still discussing the plea, but the state, if he doesn't accept the plea, the state wants to move forward with the trial, apparently. So,
All right.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, man. I've been disgusted. It's been so much talk, and it's not even just with this case. Overall, in this conscious community, so much pedophilia, rape, scamming. I mean, to be honest, it's disgusting, and I don't know who in their right mind could really follow this stuff and not feel a little dirty, you know? Like I feel like I gotta, like seriously, I mean, I don't want to say take a shower because I already took a shower, but I feel like that, like I need to wash some of this dirt off of me, like from watching these freaks, these weirdos, these sickos, I'm serious, man. This is just, it's so bad. But yeah, it's similar, Ralph. It's similar for sure, bro. It's definitely something. Let me drop the link. Apparently this is just the first day or the second day. First it was I think they had trial selection or jury selection. Then there's an opportunity for a plea that's been happening here. And then if he don't take a plea, whatever the plea is set as, then they go ahead with the court case. He incriminated himself so much on YouTube, and now he doesn't want a sexual predator on his record. That is ridiculous. Yeah. And these guys are proud to be sexual predators, apparently. I mean, they're proud to be it, except they don't want the label. But when you look at their actions, those are the actions that one makes. And they stand on it damn near, except the label. They try to find a way out of the label itself, which is the only thing they seem to want to find a way out of. I mean, you heard this guy on YouTube said he's going to have sex in front of your child. And then and he lets his child come up and start playing with him after he's ejaculated. Excuse my language, y'all. Things like this, involving children, even in the act, involving children as witnesses, having children in the same room, same vicinity as you while you're having sexual acts with another adult, and then involving them in it. He didn't even make no qualms about it. He said the little boy came up and grabbed his pee-pee after. It's like, I'm sorry. And then this is not even the case that we're hearing. This woman accuses him of assault, so of assaulting her also. So, I don't know what they don't understand about assault, sexual assault, even pedophilia. Um, Also, what's the other one that another charge that's often connected? I don't know if he has this, but imprisonment, false imprisonment, when you're keeping a person against their will, that happens a lot to victims of sexual assault. It's happening a lot to prostitutes, sex workers, um, yeah, and the like. So let me see here. Now that this one has gone off, let me check something. Let me see if there's let me see something. All right, jury selection began. There seem to be some opening statements. Okay, let me see here. Let me put this up 2 seconds here. Did it start yet or what?
I was growing tired of it.
The thread that runs through this entire story.
Anything up. You may not use Google, YouTube, outline of the expected evidence. The state goes first because they have the burden of proof. The second phase is the presentation of the evidence, and the third phase is the closing argument or summation. The attorneys may give closing arguments or summations where they discuss the.
Okay, so this shit is going forward. He didn't accept that plea. Damn. So now they're discussing exactly how it's going to proceed. So let me see something here. Is this shit still popping off? Two seconds, y'all. I just want to make sure. There's a lot of people that went live on this, but I don't think it's live anymore. I don't think it's live anymore. 1 hour ago, opening statements. Let's see here. That's an opening statement. But I didn't see too many live. I didn't see anything but what we saw. Let's see here. Let's go back here.
Witness takes the stand and is sworn.
All right, so
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay, that appears to be it for the moment. Yeah, I don't see anything else live on this one. But people are discussing it. Yeah, what are y'all thoughts? Let me just drop this link. I'm gonna follow this, hop back on this tomorrow because it's definitely gonna be on. It's gonna be on tomorrow. Let me see. That would be right now would be 12. I guess they went into a recess, and it's possible that they may go live again on this case right here. Because 12 o'clock time, yeah, 11:30. That seems about right. They might be headed to lunch. So let's see here. Can I find anything else here? Let me see. Nature Board trial live. Right. Okay. Jury selection began. That was yesterday. Yeah. Trial seated in the trial. The jury was done yesterday. Okay. Trial begins for Georgia court leader. Yeah. 1 hour opening statements. That was what we just saw. Alleged court leader on trial. Okay. Let's see. That's yesterday. No, that's not even the latest. let's go here. Let's see what they say about this.
New the trial against an alleged cult. Noon, we now know the trial against an alleged cult leader accused of raping one of its members will start tomorrow in DeKalb County. Jury selection is scheduled for tomorrow for the case of Eligio Bishop, also known as Nature Boy. Police arrested him in July of 2022 after a former cult member who identified herself as his girlfriend said he raped her and posted sexually explicit videos of her online without consent.
Okay. I wonder what those charges look like. That sounds like 2 acts, but there might be several charges related with both acts. Trial set date. Okay. Yeah. Trial accused co-leader. Okay. Yep. Oh my God. I don't even want to see this. Let's just review what we're talking about here for a second. Just so people can kind of see, people that don't know what this guy is up to can get a feel of who we talking about, whose trial is actually going to start. Yeah, so this is an interview with him. Let's see here.
With nature, and I basically with my life, I set out to pretty much set an example and live the example and be the example of how we should live. And what I realize is that we're not humans. We're not humans at all. We're an infestation. That's what we are. We're an infected. Hold on. We're an infection in the body, in our own bodies. That's what the earth realm is. Life. We are inside of our own bodies.
Nature
each
Boy.
Individual holographically. Go ahead.
I want to talk about the girl that we know as Kayla now. How is she? Is she safe? Is she healthy?
I don't know a Kayla.
Sunray.
Oh, Sunray. Yes, she is healthy. She is beautiful. Oh my. Sunray is just. She is the happiest that she says she's ever been.
Hey, Andrea. Oh,
hey, there's something going on. There's it says watch live trial for alleged cult leader accused of rape. It's on. That's what it says in the title.
Oh, that's what it says in the title?
Yeah, it says watch live trial for alleged, and it's live. I got it looking at it on TV.
Okay, let me see here. For alleged cult leader.
It just says watch live trial for alleged cult leader.
I think it's this one right here.
Yes.
Right? Okay, yeah. Thank you for that. That's wonderful.
No, I never wanted any sexual relationship with him.
And over the course of your time in the group, did you and the defendant have a sexual relationship?
Yeah.
And did you care about him? Yeah.
Yes.
During the course of your time in the group, did the defendant ever ask you to allow him to film the two of you engaged in sexual activity?
Yes.
And was that something that you were initially wanting to do?
No, absolutely not. I actually told him sometimes that I was uncomfortable with being recorded. But
how did he respond to that?
He doesn't. He just brushes off. Like he just tries to convince you how it's good and he likes it and it's for a bigger purpose and how it will grant attention and all this stuff.
Did he explain why he wanted to film it?
Yes, the third time when I was in the cult, he described it as sexual education. So he wanted to post these videos for the community to know how it is to have sex, I guess.
And was there ever any sort of agreement that he could do whatever he wanted with these videos?
Yes, he always would
have his phone. He always had the access to do whatever he wanted. It was never a question or doubt anyone should have with him.
But did you consent to allowing him to distribute these videos forever or just in the moment?
In the moment, when I was there, I was definitely, I would say, brainwashed. And he would definitely convince me that it was for a bigger purpose, which we all wanted to be there for the bigger purpose. So for me personally, I thought I was doing something good.
The last time you went back and when you were in the group late 2021, early 2022, did you observe violence within the group at that point?
Like the last time?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
And did you ever observe the defendant be physically violent with any of the women in the group?
Yes. I'm going to tell you about two of them that I remember. One of them being the most gruesome would be with who he deems to be his queen, which is Malia. She got an attitude or was just feeling down one day while we all were together. It was just me and the women and him, Eligio Bishop, in the bathroom. Malia was naked, as we all, we don't have a problem with nudity in the cult. So she was naked.
Hold on 1 second. Can you guys approach for a minute, please? I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're being very sensitive about the identity of the victim, of course. And I guess they haven't, they said, what did the judge just say? Pause the audio? Yeah, I'm gonna let it play from here so we don't miss anything. And then I'm gonna bring it back also to the top since we came in during her testimony.
Yeah, this stuff is just crazy.
Yeah, it's so sad.
It really is. I mean, you get on YouTube making all those kind of statements. He pretty much incriminated his own self. How do you back out of that? How do you back out of saying I let them touch my penis? And how do you back out of that?
He basically is admitted most of it. These kind of acts that he's. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
Let me pull up.
I know I have it, but
I'm pulling it up now.
Yeah, but like you said, Andrea, he said so much live on YouTube. Just
Yeah, I mean, didn't he say something to the effect that even if you send your kids over here, I'm not going to change what I'm not going to change what I'm doing. Your kids going to see me naked and they're going to see that. I mean, how do you you can't undo that. It's crazy. He's incriminated himself all the way across the board. I mean, if they don't, I mean, I don't know how many years he's going to be sentenced, anything like that, but he doesn't deserve no slap on the wrist at all.
And look, the beautiful thing is he's going to trial. That means he's going to get all of those charges. He didn't want the plea because of the sexual assault, you know, what they call it. Yeah. So he went to trial. He's going to trial. He's going to get every day of it.
It's just crazy. I mean, all that bragging, you can be online, you can brag and say all kind of shit, but this ain't gonna be it.
But it's good. It's good because in this case, you get to see the contrast. Like Polite took the plea. This guy didn't. So people get to see what the outcome of that is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in real time. It's insane, you know. But yeah, it's unfortunate, and I'm disgusted with this. This is like, to know that this is like such a big thing, these cults with these behaviors, accepted behaviors in them. I would have never thought a few years ago. I didn't even realize how normalized this stuff had become, because it's one thing to say you throw Dr. York in prison. Okay, but that was years ago. That's a decade or so ago. That's 2 decades ago, right? But this stuff is ongoing. Polite, Nature Boy, all of these different groups, there's more. All of that stuff is ongoing, and things people are trying to defend even today. Right now, it's people trying to defend Nature Boy. Right now.
I mean, but again, how can you defend what he said of himself? How do you defend that? What can you say that undoes what he said? I mean, he said he did these things. So I'm not understanding how people can come back and have some defense for him. What, you're gonna say he didn't do it? He said he did. I mean, I don't understand it. What are you gonna say? I mean, I don't believe him. I don't believe he said. I believe what he said was just, he was just saying that. I mean, you can't undo that. He said that. I don't want to repeat what he said, but he said those things and wouldn't act like he wasn't. He doesn't act like he wasn't ashamed of it. He said it. This is what happened. This is what I do. And you know, you send your kids over here, it's going, same thing gonna happen. I mean, how do you you can't. I think the problem is, V. Bennett, again, people want to say, I forgive him. He didn't do it to you. You can't forgive somebody for something that wasn't done to you. That's only the people he did it to. That's in anything. I don't care who it is that did anything. Somebody can't come back and apologize to you for somebody else's wrongdoing. It doesn't work that way. So, you know, all these, that happens in, you know, within Christianity and all that. People want to, oh, we forgive him, or did you do that? Did he do something to you? No. Well, then you can't. Your apology for him is not accepted by me, because you didn't do it to me. That person did. But they keep wanting to use that as excuses to excuse these types of behavior, and it's sickening when you look at it.
Who would be pressed to excuse another person's behavior when it's sexual assault? Who would be so pressed to excuse it if it's not the victim? What type of person would that be?
Yeah.
It's like, who capes for sexual predators if you're not a sexual predator? Either you're a predator or you're extremely confused, or something like that. I don't see any other reason why a person would do that. You got to be confused, or you have to be trying to, the reason why you want it to be excused is because maybe you've done something like that yourself, and you just can't look in the mirror. So you can live vicariously through Nature Boy's trial and acts, you know, in life, and be like, yeah, I forgive him. I forgive Nature Boy. You know?
It's crazy. It's mind-boggling to me. It really is. I mean, you know, people come out here and do all the stuff on YouTube if you want. I mean, they're listening. You know, this is evidence. You know, anything you get out there and brag about and boast about and it's evidence against you. You know, you do have the right to remain silent. Some people just don't want to do that. You know, you ain't got to get out here saying nothing to incriminate yourself. But so many people are getting out here and thinking, what do they think this is? This is recorded evidence that's going to come back and get you at some point or another. Why would you want to say all these things about yourself like that? That is so stupid. Stupid. Man.
It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, I'm just going to put on a little bit of music in the background while we wait. I'm going to let this live run because it's live. Obviously, it's a court session of Eligio, Nature Boy Bishop. And his trial has started. So that means he hasn't taken the plea. And a lot of people are going to be waiting to see what the outcome of this. Where we left off before they went and put this up on the screen. I don't know if this is a pause or if it's a sidebar or what have you, but the alleged victim was giving her testimony or giving part of her testimony. And she was in the middle of describing some of the acts and what Nature Boy would do. So stay tuned, y'all.
It might be lunchtime because it should be noon. So they might be breaking for lunch or something.
Yeah, they might be breaking for lunch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave this one up. I'm gonna let this run live, and I'm just gonna let it run. I can control it from my phone, so I'm gonna invite people up on the panel. So feel free to continue. And yeah, so the show gonna go on until this bad boy is over because people have been waiting for this. People have been waiting to find out, and you know that's part of the process. Finding out what happens to these people, justice, you know, finding out, is there justice? What type of justice is there for victims of sexual assault? And it's part of the process. It's part of closure, getting closure. And the closure is not just for the victim itself, but for the community of people that are frustrated with these types of persons and have to sit around and sit around and watch people make excuses for them. We got one big platform called House of Consciousness with a leader that has made excuses for these types of persons, has invited them. I mean, I'm sorry, but Sonetta even wanted to get Nature Boy on his panel after he was in jail, you know, and he's calling it news. He's calling that news. He flip-flopped on Polite several times. He said he wouldn't have Polite back on his program again. Then he said he would. You know, I mean, he said he's constantly flip-flopped with all these people. And this is what I mean about a community where we're accepting sexual assault and predators has seemed to somewhat prevail over the rest of the community, over the safety of children, over the safety of not just women, but also men, because some of these dudes, they will try to assault just, you know, they're assaulting even men. We got Africa Bambaataa. He was assaulting boys. I mean, you know, this goes beyond gender. This is just assault. But one thing I can say is that a lot of these predators they're not all men, of course, but let's be honest. Africa Bambaataa is a man. Nature Boy is a man. Polite is a man. You know, the cults, these people with these cults or alleged cults, they seem to often be men. You know, they seem to. Yeah, Ralph. I see Ralph putting the thing. And Ralph, if you want to add on to that, feel free, hop up and add on. But I see it seems to be like the ones with the cults seem to be men. I have yet to see a woman be the leader of a cult. Oh, okay. Yeah, here we go. I think they're about to get back in here.
So, you agree? Well, yeah, that was my next question was, use your mic.
Has the court issued an order, has there been an order pertaining to the court's ruling on the 415 and 440? Not that I think.
You didn't submit an order?
No.
We submitted briefs and Caroline had indicated that there would be an order for it coming.
Okay.
I can submit an order, I wasn't asked for one, but
Okay, well, I'm kind of in between staff attorneys, so that probably got lost and shuffled. My apologies for that. Okay, if you could submit a proposed order, I'm allowing them in. I think I said that at the hearing too. Did I?
you said it in email.
I did,
Yes,
okay.
It was communicated
all
to
right,
us,
yes.
there's just not a file order.
Okay, gotcha. All right, well, let's get that order in place. Somebody's alarm is going
My
off.
wife and I don't know how to stop it.
Okay. That's okay. Yeah, mine did that too. I think there's something called theater mode. You could, is it an Apple Watch? But I can't help with that. I don't know. In order to prove its case in which counts pertaining to 1.3, do you have 1.34.10 in front of you? Okay, so in order to prove its case in,
Agreed.
you agree? Okay. Counts 1 and 2. Actually, Ismir, make me a quick copy, please, of, I think I just need, yeah, 21, 22, and pages 21, 22, and 23.
The reason I was asking about a order is the court had not, I guess, indicated what purpose it was in for,
Right.
what scope, and so that's kind of what I was hoping we would see.
Yes, no, that's fair. Okay. All right, Mr. Coveney, can you provide that information, please? What is your see if I agree with what your purpose is.
Right, the state's purposes were intent and motive. Primarily motive, but it was intent and motive were what were on the motion that we filed.
Okay.
This is going to be a heavy trial. I wonder how long it lasts. How long you think this one's going to last? 1 day, 2 days?
It shouldn't even go that long, but it would be hard for me to be a defense attorney in cases like this. It would be hard. I mean, I would feel like I'm compromising all my morals and principles to defend somebody. I mean, yeah, they're innocent until proven guilty, but the guilt came from his own mouth.
Intent and motive. So it would be, so it's not identity. All right, you guys approach and help me figure out which, I want to make sure I got this right. Make sure we're
Yeah, see, they're approaching again, so they're having another sidebar. This is, well, I guess it's just the process. It's the process, you know. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't see it going past once the testimony of the victim is in. I don't see it going past the day, you know. And it appears as if she already started, and now they're having some, what is this, some kind of technical discussions about other charges, or what? Is he taking a plea? I would like to know what's going on. It seemed like they started off today discussing a plea, but then the trial started, I believe, or the witness testimony started at least. So that would be part of the trial. So I'm not sure what they're discussing now in the sidebar. But yeah, but I don't see how this guy can matter of fact, let me go look up and see how many charges he really has. He has false imprisonment, he has sexual assault, and then there's one other. Let me see here.
I think it was rape, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. What are nature charges?
Yeah, accused of rape and then false imprisonment. And what was the other one you said?
Oh, and 3 counts. Yeah. Okay. It's false imprisonment and 3 counts of prohibition on nude or sexually explicit electronic transmissions. The trial was yeah. So let me drop this also in the chat for people that want to see this, want to read it. The charges, yeah, those are state charges. So oops. Oh wow, that's a long link. That's a very long link. Why is the link so long? I don't understand that. Let me try that again. Maybe I did that wrong. Okay, here we go. There we go. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. WSBTV.com has the charges. Now let me just see what they say here. Okay, alleged cult leader known as Nature Boy headed to trial on rape charges in DeKalb County. Nearly 2 years ago, after his arrest during the late night raid, a man accused of being a cult leader and raping a former follower will head to trial this week. Right. First reported on Eligio Bishop, also known as Nature Boy, when he was arrested in April 2022. Our cameras were there as DeKalb County police officers searched the home of Arbor Chase and arrested Bishop. Following a 3-week investigation, police charged Bishop with rape, false imprisonment, and 3 counts of prohibition on nude or sexually explicit electronic transmissions. The trial was scheduled to begin Tuesday, but an attorney conflict came up. Jury selection will now begin Wednesday morning. Neighbors have accused Bishop of running an online cult called Carbon Nation. Carbon Nation is a cult. He's been whooping girls, beating girls, fertilizing girls, getting girls ready for marriage. A female neighbor said, not giving her name. The DeKalb County District Attorney's Office says Bishop raped a former follower who tried to leave the cult in March 2022. The DA's office says Bishop also posted revenge porn after the victim left the alleged cult. Basically, the police, Channel 2 Action News went by the home in April 2022, where several people claimed to be Bishop's disciples. Basically, the police raided us on false accusations, a disciple by the name of Musa told Channel 2 Action News. Musa said Bishop is their God, and as a group, they believe in nature, nudity, and kindness. He said the criminal accusations are from a disgruntled former member of the Carbon Nation family. She said she was here under false imprisonment. We have live documentation, and when we said, hey, if you want to leave, you can leave, nobody is forced to stay here, Musa said, right? According to a 2017 report, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, Bishop is a former model, stripper, and barber. Bishop also has ties to Atlanta dating back to at least 2009, but around 2016, he and his followers moved to Central America, then to Honduras, and then to Costa Rica until they were forced to leave in 2017. 2020 reports show Bishop was arrested in Hawaii for breaking COVID-19 quarantine rules. It's not clear when he returned to Atlanta. So that's the overall background of it. So that sounds like, all in all, that's that's 5 charges. That's 5 charges. 3 of them are prohibition on nude or sexually explicit electronic transmissions, and then the other 2 charges are rape and false imprisonment. You know, she said she was being brainwashed, by the way. Oh, did this stop? It said it's unavailable.
Yeah, it stopped. I'm
Oh,
trying
it
to see if
says,
there's anything else out here.
okay, whoa, that's deep. They just stopped that. I wonder why.
I mean, I don't see anything else.
Oh, they maybe, you know what they did? This sounds like Polite's trial. They didn't, Polite's lawyer put in a motion to have the court stop it because they didn't want it to be shown on YouTube. But the judge said it's already it's public, it's Florida. They show these things public. But wow. So
Yeah,
maybe they don't want people.
I don't see
showing it.
anything else out here. Trying to see if there's anything, any other title it might be under.
Maybe I could also try to Google the courtroom. Let me see here. It's in Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, Court TV. Okay. Let's see here. No, they don't have it here. Let me see. Daggone. That was unfortunate. Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, they must not. Well, who knows? But I do know that's what they did in trial. The defense attorney attempted to make a motion that it not be shown live on video, broadcasted live, and the court refused his request. So we were able to cover it. But yeah, it appears this time they stopped it.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, it's just unfortunate that this stuff continues to go on. It's just unfortunate. Whether, owie. Whether it's done in churches or wherever it's done at, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, let me see if it's going to start again. I'm gonna let it replay from the start here.
Friday. I think that would allow the state to get through all witnesses but one, and then come back on Monday with one witness remaining. But I think especially Thursday, it may require going past 5 o'clock.
Okay, well, you know how I hate getting involved in these scheduling discussions, but I'm not opposed to staying past 5 o'clock. Let's just see where we are. And also it depends on the jury too. So if there are issues with childcare or something, but I'm not opposed to it at all. So we'll just take it one day at a time and see how we go.
I'm fine with staying as late as court needs me to. I live in Gwinnett County, so if it allows me to miss 5 o'clock traffic.
Well, all right. We'll do you a favor. Okay.
Oh, Andrea, they set it to private.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, let me try to put this description in again and see what pops up. Watch live. Okay, trial for alleged cult leader accused of false imprisonment in DeKalb County. All right, let me put that in there. Trial for alleged cult leader in DeKalb. Oops, I spelled that wrong. DeKalb. Let's see if that comes up. Okay. That came up here. It's kind of interesting that no one else is covering this live right now. That's interesting. I would think there would be more outlets covering this.
Yeah.
But because that can't be the only, there's another link. There's a link from the courtroom. So let me see something. Nature Boy. Let me just type that in. Nature Boy trial. Yeah, there has to be a. Oh, here we go. No, that's not live. That's not live. We already saw that one earlier today. Is that okay? Let's see here.
It says, he said, I'm the return of Christ. Alleged cult leader arrested on charges including. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the, they got this 2-minute clip of his, one of his wives saying that he took all of her documents.
Yeah, this is he's out there. He's out there. He's definitely out there. I mean, he damned himself, but how much of that is going to feed into his court case? I'm not sure, but he definitely has damned himself. Let me see.
Anything he put out there should be, considered evidence. I mean, he did it. He said it. Nobody else made him do that. It's just.
Wait a second. Is it back on now?
I haven't seen it yet.
So, you agree? Well, yeah, that was my next question was, use your mic. Did submit an order?
We submitted briefs, and Caroline had indicated there would be an order for it coming.
Okay.
I can submit an order. I wasn't asked.
Yeah, I'm not getting any other feed on here.
So that probably got lost and shuffled. My apologies for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, it's interesting that they blocked that because she had started to give her testimony, and then they stopped it for some reason. Her testimony, I mean, they went into a sidebar, and then when they came out of the sidebar, maybe, well, it's hard to know. It's hard to know,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna find the link for tomorrow because it's got to be coming directly out of a courtroom, So I need to find out the judge's name, which I'm gonna get from looking at this video because it's obviously going to be there.
Yeah, it's sitting on her thing on her counter.
Yeah, and I'm gonna see if I can get the actual direct feed from the courtroom. Yeah, let me see. And as a matter of fact, it might say it here too. Who the judge is. But yeah, it's going to be a big day tomorrow and this week for a lot of people. Folks are pretty much tired of this guy, and at least people who want to put it into these kind of cult rapists and scammers. But I mean, you know, this type of stuff is a real danger, because to a person who's unsuspecting, they use, you know, this idea of Black empowerment and suffering and freedom from the matrix, freedom from the oppressor. They use it as a veil to sadly oppress and assault their own, you know, which is almost the worst type of act. I mean, it's one
Right.
thing to be attacked from the outside, but when your own people put on the veil and then turn out to be, you know, committing the same type of acts, it's really disappointing and really psychologically harmful,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it creates distrust in your own community when there's people preying on their own community members, you know. It holds back people, really, you know. It destroys trust. So he's violating trust, and you know, he's not the only one, but we will see. At least he got his day in court. He can't say he hasn't gotten his day in court. um, he's getting it right now, and I guess we're going to wait for the outcome. At least he didn't take the plea. So,
Yeah.
you know, that's a good thing, you know.
It'd be interesting to see what it was. I mean, to hear it again, what it was, because I didn't hear
Yeah,
all what they were offering.
right. Yeah, that would be too. Actually, I'm gonna be on point tomorrow with this when we go live. I'll have some more details, and we can take it from there. But I think that there will be some reports when today's court um, hearing ends.
Her name is Honorable Stacey Hydrick. Stacey,
Okay,
Stacey
Stacey Hydrate.
Hydrick.
Say that again. Stacey what? How you,
Stacey K middle initial, last
uh-huh.
name Hydrick. Hydrick.
DRICK.
Uh-huh.
Stacey D. Stacey K.
Stacey K. Hydrick.
Stacey K. Hydrate. Okay, DeKalb Superior Court. Yeah, let's see here. Now, damn, do they have a link to her? Let's see here. They must have a link in here. So, civil courtroom. Okay, court calendars. Is that it? She seemed to handle domestic. Okay. Now, it's not even March yet. Criminal calendars. Let me see courtroom. I'm gonna ask for a call. Hold on. Does it say law library process job announcement? Okay. Jurors. Okay, that's her. Court calendars. She have a court calendar. Okay. Whoa. Click here for the live stream. Oh, they closed. Did they close it down? Let me see. Somebody coming up on the panel. This is Michelle. Hey, Michelle, can you show your face real quick, just so before I let you up? If you don't mind. Hey, Michelle, you there? Yeah, because I can't see your face. I see it's kind of blocked out or something. Yeah, I guess Michelle don't want nobody to see her face. Michelle, is that correct? You don't want anybody to see your face, but I'm not going to put you up for other people to see. I just want to see your face so I can know somebody named, apparently that's called Michelle. Okay, there you go. She just went off, because I want people to just, I don't want to confuse the listeners. So, and it's also the same for the chat. I want to be able to try to keep it fair for the listeners. So it's important to at least know, like I saw that Michelle, so I assumed it's a woman. I just want to be able to identify a few things, if it's a woman or if it's a male, if it's a black person or if it's somebody else, and then let them up, because people be posing out here on these YouTube streets, like that. Yeah. And they come up here and say any damn thing, do anything, and be pretending to be somebody else. So I need to be able to verify a little bit. Now let me see. This didn't Judge Hydra. Her courtroom came up, but for some reason I couldn't. They had a link to her YouTube channel, but they didn't seem to have a link to the courtroom. So I'm curious about that. DeKalb County Superior Court. I'm in here. Okay. Process list, servant, affidavit process, dispute, contact links, family. Okay. I'll just click on her. Okay. Her courtroom is here. Staff. But usually it says court calendars. And you click on that. Then it even has a stream list here. YouTube streams for viewing only. Criminal trial dates. It's not even, it doesn't seem like her thing is updated yet, but it does have a link to her channel, and it has nothing on it. It has nothing on it, but it has a whole lot of subscribers. That's for sure. There's no content here, but usually they don't even have that kind of link. Usually they have a link to like a Zoom,
Yeah.
Let me see if I click this one, if it pops up differently.
But if it's public, I don't know why they would have made it private.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. Here, let me show y'all what I'm looking at, by the way, so it can be seen. Maybe I'll have some ideas. You see this? See, this is her courtroom, and it should state here. See, like when you go to court calendars, it should state the calendar. But then on the top it says YouTube channel live stream. That means when she's, oh, here it is. Hold on. This is the Zoom.
Are you going to have to know the case number or whatever to go to the Zoom now?
Yeah. But no, because it's her courtroom. So I think knowing the case number might be good in finding out who she is, right? And who else is associated with the case. But I think her courtroom only have one Zoom address, I think. But counsel for parties and witnesses shall familiarize themselves. Yeah, but this is just Zoom. It doesn't actually this is civil cases, non-domestic. This is not a civil case though. This is a criminal case. Right. So she has a criminal case here. But this is, okay, DeKalb County. Let me see. How about if I type Eligio Bishop? Nope. Family law, criminal law, jurors, hold on, judges, court, directory law, dispute resolution. Let's see, judges. Okay. And then she will be here. Yep. Court calendars. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like they didn't want it to be live, or maybe they put in a motion to just terminate the live or something. But usually that's done before you even start it. You know, that's supposed to be done at the beginning. You know, because they could already expect that people are going to want to cover it. So, but I don't see it. Let me. Oh, I know one other thing I could do. I could say, I could Google Zoom courtroom and see if that comes up. Let me see here. Google courtroom. Zoom link to court. Okay, Facebook, no. Court calendars. Oh, no, that's a PDF. Nope, don't want that. Yeah, no, that was the first link was the correct link. It's just for some reason they don't, it's not as, this website doesn't seem to be up to date like let me type like Florida's is. Let me see Bishop case for Eligio Bishop Eligio. Okay, this is another document here. Rape, false imprisonment, yeah, and 3 counts. You know what I can do? I can also put this up on here it is, just like that, for people that want to see the charges. I put this in a link. Oh, Michelle, are you there? Hold on.
Yes, I'm here.
There you go. Okay, go ahead. You can remove your camera. Sorry about that. It took me a second.
No, it's important that you find. I'm doing great. Did you find your link? I think it's on private right now, but
yeah, it got put on private, and now we having a problem trying to find the one direct to the court.
Oh, I thought that was probably more important than people making comments.
Well, but you're welcome. Welcome, sister. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, my thoughts are that it's so unfortunate because for Nature Boy, and that he doesn't seem to have many friends on YouTube. I mean, I hear that will speak up for him. He has people that are in support of him, but they are very quiet, and it's very unfortunate that it's like that. It's just a lot of people don't like him and don't understand what he was doing. He's just trying to find an alternative way to live, because a lot of us know we're not supposed to be living like this, where many women don't have husbands. They have children, but they have no husbands. So he was looking, just seeking answers for that. Living is supposed to be enjoying your life, not just working for somebody else, and so they can take advantage of your intellectual properties and just be totally abusive to you. And at the end of it all, you get a retirement, but you don't live your life. So he's just trying to come up with answers in a creative way that to live. But his crime is he put it online, and a lot of women are so unhappy. They don't have men in their lives, and they don't really know, and the men they had in their lives are so treated them so terrible, till they really get off and get laughing at a person like this. And it's so unfortunate that that has to go on. And I understand that he's not a perfect person, but I blame a lot of problems I blame a lot of our problems as a people on the lack of creativity that was allowed for us to express ourselves in public school. A lot of the black men and black children and black boys did not get that. But when you turn on YouTube, you get to see a lot of the black men, being very creative in presenting their shows and all. But this was not taught. This should have been something that was a prerequisite in the educational system. So they're really, you're just trying your wings and you just being creative and you giving your gifts to the world. And it's not going to always look perfect, but he had a lot of people watching him. But I just hope the judge and I hope that he doesn't get an outrageous amount of time. As I heard there was the last plea bargain was, I heard another channel person say, I don't know the YouTube language as much, but I listen to it a lot, but I'm not really savvy on it. But a YouTuber, I'll just tell you, a YouTuber said that he had a plea bargain on the table of 30 years. Now that is way too much time for this alleged act. And if you were following this, the person that is making the accusations left the cult with Dr. York. And a lot of people believe he was innocent and was framed, but she left that cult and was married to his son. And then she went over to Nature Boy's cult, or cult is just a culture, a people's way of living, and has, elements to it, but as they want to refer to it as a cult. But she went over there and she willingly went over there and she willingly could have left. And it's so unfortunate that a woman could just say things and get people in so much trouble today, unless something drastic, unless she could just make up things. And it may be true, but she could have been also triggered from her last relationship.
But do you think he's innocent, or do you think or do you know?
I think this is exaggerated, because a lot of relationships, if they were put on, if you had a camera in the living room of a lot of men and women in their relationships, you would see mistreatment. You would see a slap. I never had that, but you would see that in a lot of relationships. You'd see arguments. You'd see a lot of showing off, and all of that, I think, was primarily for the camera and the audience. So, because I even heard, what is her name? Velvet's, no, Malia said that when the cameras are off, everything's fine. So it may have gotten out of hand with the cameras being on. But my main, now I have to be honest, because YouTube is very real. That's where the real live. They, people that just say what they just say it. They don't really care whose feelings are involved. But I do believe that if he, Velvet, like the first time he got in trouble in Costa Rica, his wife Velvet was able to talk for him. Even though to me, he beat her, he didn't beat her, but I don't know if he beat her or not, but he just kind of, the way he suppressed his women, she was still able to talk in support of him, and she was believable. But these women that he has now, I'm not sure they can, that they're strong enough to talk in support of him. And that's maybe his best alibis, or his best witnesses are his wives, as opposed to the YouTubers. The YouTubers are only viewers, many trolls. Just like you had to see my face to make sure I'm a real person. I couldn't believe that our people are so filled with so much that they have to see other people suffer in order to feel good. But it may not be that, but it just seems like that. But anyway, I just wanted to speak.
I hear you. But let me ask you this: do you think that he beats any of these women?
That he beats them?
Do you think he does?
I put it like this: if there are women that will allow men that, I don't know how old you are, but I'm like 62. There are women, they allow that. They allow that, all that rough. They allow men to call them bees, just like the music calls women bees. There are some women that don't allow that. So in relationships, there are women that allow this type of thug behavior.
Right, but even if they allow it, do you think you would do it if they allowed it?
Yeah, I think so, because it's a show offy type thing. He would do it for the camera. Yeah, I do believe that, of course. But 30 years in jail for that though? And I'm a woman. Isn't that a bit extreme? Do you think that's extreme? 30 years in jail for a slap?
Well, I could tell you this much. For my, do you have the speaker on in the background?
No, actually, I was sitting next to a refrigerator. Sorry.
Okay, because I hear some echo.
Oh, you hear back? No speakers on, but I don't have the phone like on my ear.
Okay, wait a second.
Is that better?
Maybe. Oh no, it's not. I can still hear myself, but I'll tell you what. When I'm talking, I'll put you on mute real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. It's better. My thoughts on Nature Boy is, of course, I'm not there. I haven't witnessed anything myself. I'm not a witness to his acts. The only thing I'm a witness to is some of the media he puts out on YouTube, and then also some of the statements coming from persons that maybe have been unhappy with their time, associated with Carbon Nation and Nature Boy, or maybe other people. Just what's out there publicly. That I can hear. I hear for myself. Now, how much of that is true? I don't know, because I wasn't there to witness any of it. But in an atmosphere where we do know things are happening to people, right? It's kind of distressing when you see a person kind of follow similar footsteps and patterns. Like, for example, have the idea that people need to be following anybody to that degree, saying, Becky, like, I'm gonna tell you straight up, sister, I'm not following nobody, period. You will never have me on my knees praying or begging for forgiveness from anybody, period. I see any of that type of thing as loony and crazy and abusive. Like, why would I need to be sitting there, bowing down on my knees, bowing down to some leader, doing whatever they tell me to do? Why would I need to do that? I'm totally against that. I would never want my daughter doing that. I would never want my sons doing that. So in that terms of situation, and when I look at it that way, and I see Eligio participating, what seems like he's participating in that, I can only question, like you said, if they allow it, why wouldn't he do it? And so the line is, who is in charge? Who, is he in charge, or are they in charge? And so there's an issue even with that. He has a tape out there in the public where he's talking about what he would do. And he says he's having sexual relations with a woman. I'm paraphrasing. And then the child is there watching. And then the child comes up and grabs his private parts just immediately after the acts. What the child is there while the acts are going on, and then the child gets up and grabs his private part. This is what he says. Now, what do you think about that? I mean, do you think that's at least distressing? Go ahead. I'm gonna take you.
I don't think so. Because see, I come from a background of holistic a holistic type of off the grid background, where I studied a lot of I'm a nature. In other words, I'm in love with nature. So his name is Nature Boy, but I understand what living off the grid is. But I do understand that some ways people live are so extreme to others that they could make it into something, but it really isn't anything big. Remember Michael Jackson mentioned that when he shared his bed, people just lost their minds, and then they just tried to make him. And I mean, some people that led him to go into get prosecuted by some a person who just thought that was just so extreme. But now later on, you hear people saying that, and it's acceptable. Sometimes when people are trailblazers, they get attacked, but then after they get attacked, and then it becomes like, acceptable. I just feel like his way of living was just a different presentation to many, and they just want to, and it was online, so they get to criticize it. And I don't think he would hurt any child if he had women around him. A child he wouldn't be interested in any babies if he had grown women around him. So
Okay,
I
but
don't think
sister,
he would.
hear this part out. I like your response. But hold on. I'm just putting you on mute so I don't hear myself twice real quick. So now you don't believe he would do that, but you just said about the acts regarding women that if they allow it, if the women allow it, and then I asked you, would he do it? If they allowed it, but you don't see it different with a child. Like you don't see that something wrong if the child allowed it. How does a child can't give consent? Hold on.
And I think you had a good point. What he's on trial for, I think, is the mesmerizing, the ability to mesmerize and make people think something. I think that's what the undermining reason for his trial is, because but I never seen him interact with any children in a bad way. And if I saw, for example, a pedophile, that they are attracted to children, the size of the children, I don't know the total modus operandi of a pedophile, but I think they are attracted to little people like people are attracted to adults. And I didn't see that with him at all. I just saw him just trying to present pureness. Like men sometimes they'll take their shirt off, they'll show their muscles on YouTube and do their show. They just trying to show a pureness. I saw. Um, but like you said, a child or an animal, for some people abuse animals. They can't say a person did this and that to me. They can't say it, but they show it in their actions, sometimes. But I don't think that his children were inhibited in any way that showed that he would have harmed them in any way. And I think the control that he's on trial for of having over women, a lot of men they do that in relationships, but they just not on trial for it. And a lot of women like a man to. They say the man is the head and he's in charge, but there is a balance with that, and it can become a bit extreme. But it can become abusive. But I heard Nature Boy tell Janae, if you want to leave, you can leave. And did she leave? Did she keep coming back? To me, if I was on the jury, I would look at, well, was she really that mesmerized till she couldn't stay away from him, that she had to come out to where he was and then leave and come back again and then say he raped her?
Okay,
it's a lot of elements to that.
Yeah, 1 second. I'll just put you on mute again just so the echo is not there. I think where they stopped in the trial, well, I know where they stopped in the trial because we were just watching it. She said that she was brainwashed. That's what she said. Those were her own words. But let me just, and people can take her word for that or not. People are free to decide for themselves what they think, but on the screen here is the allegations that he's on trial for. And here it says he's on trial for rape. That's charge 1. Then there's false imprisonment. That's when you don't let somebody go, right? Or you keep them against their will. And then there's 3 charges of prohibition on nude or sexually explicit electronic transmissions. And I guess that means when you record some sexual acts and you release it to the public. I believe that's what that means. So that's what he's on trial for right now. These other things that we're discussing is just what we've seen or maybe what I saw in the public. Like he said himself, he didn't have an issue. I'm paraphrasing again, but he didn't have an issue having sex with another person in front of a child, and then the child come up and grab his private parts right after, right? So in my mind, of course, he's not on trial for that, but to me, it's kind of like a self-confession. It speaks to his character, like the other things that he possibly would do. Like, I'm not saying he would do something. I'm not saying that he's intentionally doing something or what he means when he allows the child to come up and grab his pee-pee when he's just got finished having sexual relations, or even maybe it's still going on. Who's to define what that whole act should include? For me, it's like having a child in the room. That's seriously questionable. Having a child come up and grab your private parts, that's very, very questionable given the context. Now, of course, when you're in a family setting, that's family, right? Now you might see your mother naked, a child might see the mother naked, a child might see the father naked. They might see them come out of the shower. The parents see the child naked too. They wash the child. This kind of thing happens in a normal family setting. But what he's talking about is something different. He's saying, I'm having sex around you, this child. So of course, we're not in the jury. He's not on trial for that specific thing. But when we look from the outside and we hear another person say, that they weren't allowed to leave, that he assaulted them, it kind of makes you wonder, okay, how much of this is a norm? And how much would he do, if he's just allowed to? Like, what are the acts? So that's why I asked you, do you think there's cause for concern? Maybe you don't have to say he's guilty, because we don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't there, but in my mind, it's like cause for concern at the minimal. But what do you think about that idea?
Well, I think because he was filmed in the US, that would the audience is not as free thinking when it comes to things like that, and he should have been more careful. Like in some cultures, that like if you live in a TP or you may with your husband, that may be something that is normal. If you lived in the Polynesian Islands or somewhere where you lived outside in a hut, that may be something you can't avoid. But in America, people live in brick and mortar houses, so they can't kind of conceive that. But he was living in other countries at that time where they're freer in. Sometimes it depends on the type of housing you have, but even in this country, a lot of community-based or grassroots type people, they will live in small spaces and they will make them work. But I like the way you put the charge, what he's being charged with, though. And you mentioned the things he's being charged with. I don't have my glasses on, but he's being charged with rape. Okay, grape. If there was no grape kit, in other words, things you can prove should be what he's on trial for. If there was no kit, or if there's a rape kit, okay. And the second thing you mentioned was, it's right there, but it's real small. But I think you mentioned also false imprisonment. But I heard him on the video telling the person to leave. Now, she was hypnotized so where she couldn't leave, but that particular incident I saw on video where he said, if you want to leave, leave. There's the door, leave. But the last one where they say he posted something online, pornography, that may have been with some type of consent, may not have been. I think that is where most of the weight of proof should be on, whether he should prove that, why he did it, or if he did it, and how, or was it a consent of some sort? Has it been an ongoing thing and no one said anything about it? So I like the way that, because this is what he's on trial for. He's not on trial for letting children touch his penis, or he's on trial for these things right here. So I just hope that
Andrea,
the jury is somewhat liberal in how they look at sex, different relationship styles, and all of that. That's all. I'm just hoping for that.
okay, Andrea, you want to say anything?
Yeah, when she brought up the Michael Jackson saying he, allowed people to sleep in his bed. If they're not your family members, okay, there should be some concern. If they're not consenting adults sleeping in the same bed with you, there should be some concern. Now, if they're your children or your grandchildren or your significant other, okay, fine. But it's not fine when he said he doesn't care if you bring your kids over there. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. That's a concern. I mean, he's the one out there saying all this stuff. We didn't say. He said he's out there saying all these things. And so, now that he's on trial for whatever they're saying he's on trial for, I mean, it is what it is. He's the one out there bragging. Okay, so you live a different lifestyle. Okay, just leave it. Stay over there and do your thing. But once you bring it to the public sphere, now you're up to public scrutiny, and whatever charges he has against him, that's because of him running his mouth. It's not because of somebody bringing those accusations against him. I mean, somebody had to, but that's him doing that to himself. And that's how I feel about that. I don't know him. All I'm going by is what I've seen of some of the videos I've seen that have been played on different channels. That's all I know about him, but I've heard him say those things himself. So, and even if the woman goes back, a lot of women go back to their abusers. That's not nothing new, that happened and with us being the age that we are, because I'm the same age you are, us being the age that we are, we know how that abuse took place back in the day. A lot of women stay with the men who were abusive to them because they had, there was no alternative to where they had go, or some of them went back because that's all they knew. So that to me is not an excuse to excuse his behavior. We know of all of that. I wouldn't want nobody putting their hands on me. I mean, but when that happens and you've been in, and that's all that a lot of women do that. So that's not okay to say, well, she went back. That to me, that's not okay, because you don't know what causes a person to go back to that environment. So you don't know if she was being threatened. You don't know anything. All we know is, okay, so she went back, but you don't know if she went back under duress. You don't know that. We can't speak to why people go back to a particular situation. It may look like, she went back, well, but we don't know under what circumstances she went back. So that's what I have to say about that.
They do have this thing.
All right, y'all.
Where,
This is
oh, sorry. Wait a second. Yeah, they have this thing where, when they talk about false imprisonment, they talk about that a lot with pimps and prostitutes. Like women find it very hard to leave people that are sexually exploiting them, and when it comes to violence, they connect mental violence with physical violence. And then that's where the kind of idea of false imprisonment comes into play. It's not always so clear. Like, for example, I have the ability to move on. I'm financially secure, right? I'm a man. If you try to false imprison me, you might get hurt physically. You see what I mean? I'm capable of hurting somebody physically. I'm capable of having dominance over a lot of women and children. I mean, physically, if I wanted to, if that was my prerogative, they would not have an easy time defending themselves against me just because I'm physically a big person, right? I'm 6'1", 180 kilos. You see what I mean? Like, so, and then on top of that, my background, kind of teaches me that, hey, at times physical violence can be the answer to certain things. Of course, I wouldn't use that on a woman or a child. But having said that, there's the sexual sex trade industry where you hear this term come up a lot, false imprisonment, and where women are being forced into things and they say that they're psychologically affected, that they've been abused psychologically too, not just physically. So they tend to see the person that is abusing them as a protector also. So I would, I'm just thinking, I'm wondering, is that what she's trying to describe? I don't know yet because her testimony was cut off, but But let's listen, since we mentioned this tape about Nature Boy. Let's play it back. I want to hear your comments on it. See what you think, sister.
All right, y'all. This is Nature Boy, man, and I saw this clip earlier today, and I said, "Wow, this is crazy. This is crazy." And the question ain't him. We know he evil as hell.
I don't let kids around me, other people kids around me, because
Demon had to say.
you know why I don't let kids around me, other people kids around me? Because of the way I am. When I see my son, this is how I treat my son. We naked together. I take baths with my kids. I'm naked with my kids. I have sex in front of my kids. My son be breastfeeding and I'll be making love to his mom.
What do you think about that? Anybody? Like he said, my son will be breastfeeding, and and he's making love, quote unquote, to the mother at the same time. I mean, what is the point? Oh, hold on. Let me take you off of mute. I see you done. There you go. Oh, sorry about that.
The point is, first of all, when he started these YouTube programs, YouTube wasn't that popular with everybody. A lot of people weren't watching YouTube, and he's probably was new to it himself. To just put all of that out there for different levels of sexuality. People, there are some people that don't like sex. There are some people that don't like men. There are some men that don't know what to do with women. You got all kinds of people listening. But, so he probably didn't think that he had to consider all of that. Plus, he was in another country when he even said all of that. But his crime is putting his business online, because even though that the person said she was my age, she may be my age in number, but my mind is very mature, and I've traveled, and I understand things where I don't get I hear what the person is saying. He's not saying he molested anybody, but he's saying this is how him and his family does it. Just like a Mormon would, maybe if they married 10 women, they would say, well, this is how we do it. We marry and we get the girls before they're 17 and we make them our wives and have babies. That would sound outlandish. That's why you don't hear them broadcasting what they do so much on YouTube. But this is just a Black man trying to find a way to be his creative self and to actualize in being a grown man. And he gets, YouTube started paying a little money for the content. I mean, that's all he was really saying, but it's just so many different levels of people that listen. So he's opened himself to critique, and now he's in the court of public opinion, which I hope he survive it, because it's just so many different types of people that he seems to be presenting his, when you get online, you don't know what kind of people listening, but you don't want to be in their court defending yourself, especially if you have really done much of anything that anybody else is not doing.
He's in the DeKalb County court. He's in that court right now, which is terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Because all of the, I just go to the race right away. They make money off of our duress. This system causes our problem, and then they make money off of the way that we try to make it work, make ourselves work. The way we try to get out of the problem. And then they judge you if you don't do it the way they think you're supposed to do it. So it's a matter of people's opinion, but that's a pretty bad situation, to be honest. He should have stayed overseas, to be honest, because America is just not really helpful to Black men at this time, it looks like to me. And it looks like that's not a place where he should be. But if he just stick to answering these if he answer those charges and, you know, if he gets out of it this time, then he would have to really maybe leave the United States if he's going to continue to live that type of lifestyle. Just keep quiet, you know. I'm really sorry that had to happen to him. I'm sorry that young people don't seem to have much options too, and that's not their fault. To me, you know, look at how many women out here don't have husbands. You know, so many. But you know, you need a husband. Women need, well, you know, you need a relationship. You're not going to have one a conventional way, but if you may have to seek a very creative way to do it. But nobody's talking about it. He was trying to talk about it. And then nobody's talking about even his little friend, his friend Janae. She came from a cult that was looking for creative ways to build Black people and build our nation, where we don't need to rely on the white system. But it wasn't, you know, people came in and they infiltrated or whatever happened with it. The leader is in prison. He may be released, but he's in prison. And Janae came from that. And
you talking about Dr. York?
Boy. Yeah, Dr. York and the Wapians. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Black people, we really don't. If we can learn how to rely on one another for food, for you know, to grow food or to look after the children and the things we used to do. We used to have businesses. We, you know, our own businesses. We supported our own businesses. And we, you know, we were just a very good and collective group. If we could get, and that's what they were trying to build on that, and they were somehow, you know, taken down. So I'm thinking some of hers could be a PTSD. And I'm not saying men don't have mesmerizing effect on women, but I am saying though, if somebody, I'm not talking, and sometimes you can get mesmerized with this, you know, AIs with you know, the RFID stuff you can't see, but you but if you physically.
But Dr. York, he was in the courtroom where he knows what the charges were that he was pleading out to these charges against these children, you know, and other accounts, other acts, you know, the video is there, him in court, where they're reading the charges to him that he's pleading out to, and a lot of those charges are charges against children, you know, and nobody would have suspected anything of Dr. York from the outside necessarily. It would only be people from the inside saying it, you know.
Right. So that's what we have to watch, people on the inside and outside whenever we're trying to build. But I also heard that the children did not even have a strand of the the strand of the herpes that he supposedly had given them. You know, I heard that later on.
Where'd you hear that at?
Another YouTuber, Rod Hayes. He had mentioned, you know, people had done research into it. I don't research. I just look for the good. I've kind of been friends with people.
They got the paperwork. The paperwork is saying something else, that it's chlamydia, you know, anal chlamydia and other forms of chlamydia. Hold on. I'm sorry, it's your background echoing. And other forms of chlamydia, which is the form that they took his blood test. You know, they take his blood, so they know how it, you know, how it passes on from person to person. You know, and should I look that up? It's online, the paperwork. I mean,
I may have to look that up myself because, but what I'm thinking, did the chlamydia in the children match the chlamydia he had? Because somebody could have come and put the chlamydia there.
Oh yeah, no, that's what they're saying. They're saying that it's not the evidence is not just that he had chlamydia. The evidence is that they can prove it came from him specifically. Like, you know, a sickness, when it's passed on, it has markers that can show you. If you have blood samples from the individual in question, they can prove that it passed on from a specific person. Yeah, that's what they claim.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, because I would never have thought that. But yeah.
But
So
I'm not saying that's not Nature Boy's issue. But just in light of the fact that York was brought up. But let me ask you one other question, sister. Do you, like, in regards to men like me, I've had to look at my behavior too, just as a developing man. I'm in my 50s now, but I wasn't always. I used to be in my 20s. And when I was, 15, 16, 17, 18, this type of thing, I used to, I definitely believe that, you would have to assert a certain amount of violence to protect yourself from violent people. If people know that you're capable of committing violence, likely they're not going to come to you for it. So a lot of times, I grew up, and then when I got older, I had to think about that a little bit. What is it to be tough? What is it to be a secure, strong man, right? And I had to wind back a lot of that because I became a father, and I had to think about, how do I want my kids seeing me? Do I want them to see me as a domineering figure in the home, or do I want them to see me as just a friend, a person they could come to when they need help and are in trouble, and a person they can talk to? So I wound back some of that, some the bravado, you could say. But when I see some of Nature Boy's stuff online, I don't see it. To me, it seems like he's very domineering. What do you think about that?
I think he just, like, for example, when you're doing YouTube, there's a show business part of it. And I think a lot of it, he was doing it that way, just to make people look and laugh and stuff. I don't believe that he treated like a Iowa. Now I do believe I saw her with his toe, lick his toes and stuff, but I believe he was licking hers too, but he didn't put that part online. I think, when you're doing YouTube, you do a lot, you have a show business. You present a face for the audience to get them to keep coming back. Um, you said, do you think he was a violent, domineering man? I think some women. Well, let me say this now. I gotta say this because it's very important to me, that I think he was maybe 17 to 20 years older than his girlfriends or wives. When a man is older, sometimes that man, he already know what that young person is thinking and doing, and it could, it could come across as manipulative. So that is also something. I don't know, a lot of men like young women, and I don't, men, they can answer the why. I don't get it myself, but they I don't know for what reason. But if somebody is older than you, generally they have more they kind of know roads that you going down. They kind of know what's at the end of it. So they should be able to tell you what to avoid and what not to avoid. And so sometimes an older person is a little they may not be doing it on purpose, but they could be they could be controlling because they already know, how they want, where the situation could go, and they want it to work out for them, for the whole group, or for him, like, I mean, for them, so I don't want to, I think, like, when he was traveling and they took out the business loans, that was to help the group,
He's
so
he's portraying himself as their God.
okay, but a lot of black men today is revolutionary. The whole spiritual, the religion today is being revolutionized, whether anybody want to accept it or not. The church is, the old way of churching is somewhat, is not appealing, and it's not really answering a lot of, uh, it's not helping people to evolve into the greatness that they are. So people are looking, and also they're looking for a religion that answers to who they are, and they're looking for truth. And see, I don't know if you're a black man, I don't know, but our people, we kind of on a timing in this country. We're steadily evolving. We were colored, we were Negro, we were black, we are African American. We're gonna be something else. But we are the only people that we do have a spiritual reality, but we're out of touch with it. So you're gonna hear things like that. But of course, because and all it means is that Black men and Black women are becoming in touch with who they really are. There's no education on teaching us these things. We had to kind of just figure it out, you know. And so some people have a
I agree with
kind of
that.
offended by, man. Today, now, if he said that 30 years ago, I would be like, oh, that sounds like a Jim Jones. But today, that doesn't sound that outlandish, because I know Black people have a spiritual reality inside, that it's not that others have disrespected us because of it. We
Sister,
all, you know.
let me ask you this. I mean, do you think that it's possible that he understands what you're saying, that, you know, we haven't been given the freedom to discover ourselves, but do you think that he's taking advantage of that idea himself and abusing it? Because when I hear you express it, I understand what you're saying, but then when I look at him, I see a dominant figure, you know. But go ahead.
I think that, yeah, but see, the men are harder on the men in YouTube than I think. All men would take, men, since they're territorial, they would take, they would take advantage of such a thing. But to what extent is what you have to ask. Was he looking out for the greater cult? Was he looking out for everybody? Did he protect them? Did he keep them housed and fed? And was he a terrorist? Did he give them Kool-Aid laced with whatever it was laced with? I would look at the greater good. I mean, did he affect them in a bad way or a good way? And if he affected them in a bad way, did they get away from him and never come back? It's a lot of variables. That's why I like the way you put the 3 charges up front. That's what he's charged with. And hopefully he'll come out of at least 2 of them. And the third one, I think you may have some explaining to do. You should never put nobody online, but you can prove that that video showed online on that picture day. How come and why? To me, that's the only thing he may have to answer for. But of course, he's in their court in DeKalb, and it's real there. But a lot of Black men are sitting right now down there for one reason or another. Some are just sitting waiting for a trial because, so I'm real. All I can do is just try to give what I think. And I'm thank you for letting me use your airwaves and your guest. You have another guest there.
Yes, sister.
Listen and yeah.
Oh, you welcome. And it's good to hear different sides, different opinions on this topic, because ultimately I don't want to suppress anybody's views. I'd rather discuss people's views and then see what comes out of that, and I'm aware there's a lot of people that, well, I wouldn't call you a supporter of his, but I would say there's supporters, and then there's people that seem to have other concerns, that maybe they're not supporters of his necessarily, but they see some problems there inherently anyway, just with the system and how the system prosecutes our people, and the history of our people, being able to express ourselves, have we ever really had justice in the first place? So, I understand that idea, and I understand that could be that the fact that we have never gotten justice ourselves has created a number of other problems that we have to face as well. And, so who's to be ultimately the judge? But, but I like to keep it balanced. So let me see here. Shaka, you there? Shaka, can you hear me? Okay, Shaka is I guess he's up, but maybe he had to take care of something real quick. Andre,
No,
did you want to say something?
sorry.
Oh, Shaka, you there? Okay, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I finished work late. Peace to everybody. Can you tell me what happened with the trial, please?
It's they cut it off, man. They stopped the transmission. I don't know why that was. It was in the middle of it, and then all of a sudden the video was made private. And and we weren't able to find another live stream, but it went private after they took a sidebar. So to me, I remember in the Polite case, they took a sidebar where they discussed playing it over the internet, and the judge said that they weren't going to stop it, that it was public, that that's how they do it in Florida, and that they allowed it to play. But I'm guessing that maybe it turned out different in this case with his trial. So I'm curious if it's going to be back up tomorrow, the third day, or what's going to happen. But I'm assuming it will be, because public is public, and YouTube is also public. But there can be certain arguments made about YouTube, but the court itself, in my thoughts, the court itself would be streaming it. I just couldn't find the actual link. I went to the judge's actual page where they have some links presented. They have the calendar, but none of the links were working at the time. So yeah, bro. So that's basically where it's at for now.
All right. Thank you for the summary.
Yeah.
I'm listening,
Let me,
brother. I'm driving as
yeah,
well.
let me ask Michelle if she had anything else to say, because I put her on mute just because of the echo.
I'm sorry about the echo. I'll have to be more careful. I do have to help. I have to go help a friend of mine, but I did want to make one more comment that I agree. You mentioned about if you wanted to have like an open relationship with your family or your children, and I always like that ideal too. I don't know if it works for men, but I like the ideal of being open, because if there's a problem, I don't want no hindrances of somebody telling me what it is, no matter what it is. So I like that approach that you use and being open. I just hope it won't hurt your channel, because people like laughing and they like trolling people like him, and they make a lot of money on that. That's
Well,
all.
what I mean by I don't know if open is the word I use, but I meant I don't want to be domineering. I don't want my children to see me as domineering, like to the point where they would be afraid of me, to tell me things, to tell me how their day is going, what's affecting their life, and things like that. Because there is a balance, in terms of a balance that has to be kept in terms of how we want people to perceive us. And I know a lot of times for men, when we face the world, we have to be protectors. And so we're made to react that way as protectors. But being a protector, sometimes you have to know that it's not always perceived the same way. Some people can see it and experience it as domineering, can be fearful of it. So that's all I wanted to say on that note.
Okay, that's wonderful. All right. Well, thank you again for y'all indulgence in my comments.
Okay,
And
sister,
I'm
you're
gonna
welcome.
go.
You're welcome. Yeah, yeah. Andrea, you wanted to say anything on that?
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I know there's different cultures out there and people practice different types of things, but we are here in America, unfortunately or fortunately, however the way you want to look at it, and there are just certain things that are not, even though it seems like the people at large seem like they participate in certain types of behavior until they get caught. I mean, but we know that we're under the microscope and the macroscope and all that stuff, and so that's why you have to monitor yourself wherever you're out. You can't get on YouTube and just do a thing and say a thing and don't think it's going to come back and get you at some point in time. I mean, it's technology is good and then it's not. I mean, there's just that's why I'm not here on social media, because I don't have time for that. I'll come out here and participate in, I like coming on these panels with B. Bennett and Shaka. I will do that because I enjoy the conversation and stuff like that. But again, there's still some, we have to be careful, and we know that if we know that the law is trying to put us in jail by any means necessary, then we're gonna have to govern ourselves accordingly. And if he wants to participate in that type of lifestyle, then he's probably going to have to go someplace else to do it, unless he finds some land here in the backwoods somewhere and is able to do that. But I'm just saying, we know that we're always, the ones who are being scrutinized, and we have to do a better job of not giving them food for fodder. We can't do that. I mean, I don't have to have traveled the world, even though I've been on the other side of the world a couple times. I don't have to have traveled the world to know that there are different cultures out there. I mean, that's just common sense. I mean, so I'm just saying that in this country, unfortunately, those types of behavior is just not acceptable here in this country. So that's all I'm saying about that. But I appreciate your point of view and everything that, appreciate this stuff that you said coming out here. I mean, but that's just me.
Yeah, it's interesting because there does seem to be like a space where there's some room for questioning, where it seems necessary to question what if, and everybody has a right to their defense, he has a right to his defense in this case. And you do, and in that defense, people are going to ask questions. They're going to ask about the woman who charged him, who's a part of the criminal charges. They're going to ask, what she is like, and is she trustable, but overall, I would just say, Eligio, he's had a lot of power. He's had a lot of power in how this thing goes out, and in determining his own life and his lifestyle, So he should think about that, like how much of the outcome has something to do with himself and the choices he makes, This is not going to be seen in the public positively. The public do not like to know that or do not like to think that there's men out there harming women or children. The public doesn't like to see that. So whether it's true or not, those are things that we have to face, and how we face them is how we show we're facing them through how we adjust our own conduct, and and communicate with people. I mean, I'm not going to be out on YouTube saying some of the things that he said. I'm not going to demonstrate myself in a manner on YouTube that is not factual to who I am. You see what I'm saying? And in this case, Eligio is basically, or what I hear from you, Michelle, is that you're saying that it might be YouTube. He's doing it for show, showing himself to be a certain way. And I think if that's the case, it may backfire against him,
I really what I like about YouTube is that you do have trolls and gossips, but some of the truth even comes out in that. You know what I mean? I'm not a gossip and I'm not like that. So it does, it kind of but some of it is necessary to be said. Some things just have to be said. That's why even nobody's opinion is really totally invalid. Even we call them the I don't know if that's offensive, but the Ray and Pookies, everybody's opinion to me may is valid. It's how they see it. It's their how they see it. And so I just hope he comes out on the right side of the judgment, in terms of what he really meant to do, and get a time that is commensurate, that matches that. And we know the system is unfair. It's kind of unjust too. If you don't have the money or the resources, so it's not really ours. So you want to stay out of that. So I agree with your other guests. You want to stay. You want to. You got to know things have consequences, and you got to be aware of that at all times. And it's now today life have. It may not be an excuse for it anymore. You're gonna have to explain why you do some things. Period, and just be ready to do that while you do it. And he may not have been he's just trying to, as they say, he's feeling himself and smelling himself, then, just trying to get a great show going. But yeah, it went back on him. I'm gonna have to go, good people. I gotta go now,
sister.
but thank you for hearing my comments.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem. I appreciate you. Come back anytime too. And it's interesting hearing your perspective, and it's something people gonna have to reckon with. And so that's why I'm glad you came up, because it gives us a chance to consider it, definitely.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Good day.
Okay,
Same
good
to
day.
you.
Good day. Yeah, so that's interesting. That was Michelle, and I'm glad she came up. Because I think there's some panels where people wouldn't be so generous,
Welcoming.
to say welcoming, right? With her perspective, but I would question those platforms, you know, and I would say, you know, it's just about the questions, you know, and we don't know ourselves. I wasn't there. I'm not there. I'm not a member of Carbon Nation. I never been. I don't know anybody. To me, I'm not going to say I would never think about it, because just at my age, that's not for me. But maybe, who knows, if I was in my 20s, it may have been a little different. Who knows? I may have been attracted by something like that, this kind of idea. But I'm not in my 20s, and I would just caution anybody with this idea of thinking that they're going to get better by following someone. And this is no pun towards Eligio or anybody, you know, specific. It's just following people is not the way. Walking side by side, you know, learning from others learning from you, you know, it's a mutual thing. But just straight up following, doing what someone else tells you to do, and thinking that that is the way to do betterment, I think there's a lot of or empowerment. There's a lot of examples of why that doesn't work. So I would caution people against that, you know, and just say, nah, man, just learn from people that's willing to learn something from you too. Just share equally, you know. For me, that's enough. Yo, Shako, you got anything to say, bro?
No, I'm just listening. I'm driving, you know, listening.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if you're going live on that tonight, but it might be a good idea, because I'm sure it's going to be a follow-up. I don't know if I'm coming back on tonight to cover that, but I will be on tomorrow. But if you're going live, I'm gonna check your live out, and we take it from there.
Well, if I'm not tired, I want to do a live stream about, you know, Black ancient Egyptians. But I saw that you have a live schedule, so you know, I will finish before you start. You still have your live stream schedule, like a few minutes before midnight our time, right?
If it's scheduled for the day, that was a mistake. It should be for tomorrow.
Oh, okay, all right. But I'm not sure. I'll see, because I finished late today, you know, and so, you know, I may go live, I may not, you know.
Hey, let me ask y'all, do either one of you know how many years is Eligio facing? Yeah.
I don't know.
I really don't know, but knowing the charges, he's going to face years. Because, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, because there's rape and there's other stuff as well, you know, but, you know.
Yeah, I thought she said 30, but I'm not sure either. I didn't hear that part. But I'm gonna check. I'm gonna go back out here on the YouTube stuff and see if I can hear anything like that. So
okay. Yeah, on that note, I appreciate you hopping up, Andrea, and sharing the link too. That was right on time as usual. And for everybody else, appreciate y'all listening in. We'll be back. Shaka will be back later on tonight, but if not, I will be on this whole weekend and next week. Even more importantly, I'm gonna do an update tomorrow, but next week I'm on every day on this trial from the opening to the end. So hopefully it's still going to be publicized to the public or screened to the public from the courtroom. It got cut off today. Not sure why, but we're going to find out about that. So I appreciate everybody. Y'all be good, and I'll see y'all in a few. Bless.
All right.
Bless. Yes.
Peace.
Girlfriend, they go out dressed in Then she comes right to the cool side.